Hi, everyone. Welcome to meal kit number 8 from Curated by Beckta. Thanks for ordering. Thanks for the support. We're very grateful. We've got an amazing meal for you tonight. We're going to jump right in because we've got this beautiful sous vide duck breast, and it takes a little bit longer to cook, so we're going to get started right away. I love cooking duck in a cast iron pan. We're going to throw this guy on medium high and get it all nicely warmed up to sear. A little bit of olive oil. You can also use grapeseed oil. It has a higher smoking content, so you can get it a little bit hotter to get even a nicer sear. But don't forget, like this, the duck is completely cooked, so you don't have to worry that it's not cooked enough, and it doesn't have to be cooked as much as when you're going to do it from scratch. Once this thing gets to temperature, you want to put on your hood fan because it is going to smoke a little bit, and that's important, and that's to be expected. Um, so yeah, the Rougy Farm duck breast. So this is a foie gras duck. So we actually have a double foie gras dinner tonight. So this duck breast comes from a foie gras duck, so it's larger and it's fattier and it's just rich and decadent. The add-on for this week's kit is actually a foie gras torchon, which is also one of our favorite things, and it is on the decadent side. So I've gone ahead and plated it for you because it's super easy. So we have this beautiful strawberry chutney. We've got the foie gras torchon right there. I picked a couple basil leaves from the garden just to put a little green on the plate, but feel free to garnish it any way you like. And then we've got the beautiful baguette from Nat. Um, this is something I learned through this process of doing the curated, is that bread is better when it's steamed in the oven instead of just baked in the oven. So it is cooked, but we want to steam it to just bring it up to temperature and make it nice and moist. So the secret I learned through the chefs is that you throw a couple ice cubes at the bottom of the oven. So that's what I did just a minute ago, and it helps steam the bread. So really nice, slice it down there, and it's going to be beautiful, slathered on top of the baguette. One of our son Shannon's favorite dishes in the whole world. So that'll be really nice. So how do you know when the pan is ready? You take a little bit of water on your fingers and put it down there, and if it pops, then you're good to go. So the duck breast has already been cooked, as I said, and it's already been scored in terms of the duck breast. So you want to have the fat side down, and you're going to render this, and it's going to be about 5 minutes on the front side with the skin side down to render all that beautiful fat out, because we're going to actually use that in the dish later. And then we're going to flip it over, sear the other side, and then we're going to let it rest, because again, this has been cooked, so it's going to be less time than you would typically do a duck breast. And then we're going to slice it up real nice. So while that's going on, bubbling away, we've got this beautiful panzanella salad. So we've got the first local tomatoes of the season from Acorn Creek Farm, one of our great partners. Got some lovely red onions, some capers, and some fresh cucumber in there. So we've got just simple olive oil and balsamic, and we're going to toss it right in there. And in this case, we're going to add some salt and pepper. And the basil that came along with the dish. For the bigger leaves, I would suggest tearing it so that it's easier to eat. And we don't want to tear it in advance because it starts breaking things down. And same thing with a lot of the seasoning, the salt and pepper. Although we did season the duck earlier because it's not going to break it down, it's already been cooked sous vide. But with salt and pepper, like on the salad, your salad would get to you really all soggy and stuff, and it would not be very fun. The salt lets all of the moisture come out of the dish. And speaking of moisture, we want to keep the moisture away from the croutons. So that's why we vacuum sealed. So a panzanella salad is not such until you get some croutons in there. And then the dressing will soak it up really nicely. And that softens the croutons, which has been toasted. Tomato season has got to be my favorite. It's especially now because for the first time in a very long time, we've got a working garden in our backyard, and our tomato plants, for some reason, have gone crazy this year. They've just exploded in terms of their size and My wife showed me a picture just before I went on air that our first tomato is turning red. So it's a pretty exciting time. All right, got to make sure that we balance this off. Presentation is very important. Grab some paper towels. Make sure everything's pretty. Some nice orange stuff back there. And I saved some basil just to top it off. A little salt. And that is our gorgeous panzanella salad for this evening. All right, you see that nice little smoke going on there? So the duck breast, you want to keep rendering it. So even though there's some smoke going on, you're not going to turn it over too quickly. Now, don't forget at the beginning of this to preheat your oven to 375 because we're going to finish off the potatoes in there. By the way, the wine tonight with the panzanella salad is this really special Chateau Pesquet. It's basically a baby Chateauneuf de Pape, but a white one because most people are familiar with the red ones. 40% Viognier. We have some Claret in there and some Grenache Blanc, and it's just lovely. Tastes of summer. There's some tropical fruit going on. Okay, so we're going to turn the duck breast, by the way. One got a little more color than I would have liked, but I was talking to you guys, and I actually had this a little bit higher in heat than the other one. So I'm going to use the other one for our Instagram shot. Getting our plates all set up. So it's a really easy, simple dinner. I'm going to talk about the dessert while we're doing it. So lemon poppy seed cake, and we've got this beautiful cream cheese icing. So a brown butter crumble on top. Now I just grabbed some blueberries because white on white doesn't always look great. But any fruit that you have around to just sprinkle on top will just make it a little extra pretty. And I had some this afternoon while the chefs were finishing it off, and it's just great. So one of the chef secrets that you don't know about at home, which really makes your food so much better, is resting your food. So at this point, we just did 2 minutes on the backside. And so I've got this cookie rack, and that is the best thing to do to rest your meat. Because what happens, I'm going to turn this way down low. So we're going to use the duck fat in order to do the potatoes. This fondant potato has already been sort of poached in duck fat, and now we're going to finish it off. So 2 minutes each side, and then we're going to throw it in the oven for a couple minutes more just to make sure that it's nice and warm all the way through. So back to the resting. So when you cook things, all of the juices run to the center of the meat, and if you slice it right away, then you get all this blood on your plate, and then you actually take away all of the tenderness of the meat. So especially with your steak, the rule of thumb is always rest it for half as long as it took to cook. Well, in this case, we've actually cooked it in advance. So we're just searing it and rendering it. But again, the juices are going to run to the center. So we're going to want to rest it for 6 to 8 minutes. So while I'm finishing off these potatoes, oh yeah, this is going to be beautiful. And so while I'm doing that, and you know what? I forgot to do this pan in advance. So the duck fat alone is going to be warm enough to continue to cook the rest of the fondant potatoes. So I'm going to go back to my gas and get that all warmed up. I just love duck fat. It's a really great, rich taste without it being greasy. And the fondant potatoes are going to be beautiful. So we actually test ran this today because we weren't quite sure about the instructions. Today was the first day Chef Rich wasn't working on Monday when I was doing the instructions with him. So he sent me in advance, and we had to play around with it just to make sure that the writing was good because he's got a wedding going on Saturday. And actually, speaking of this week, I got to tell you, so our patios at Play and Gezellig have opened. We've got these big covered patios and also some nice shady spots as well, which is very exciting. York Street has gotten closed in front of Play, and so we get to spill out. It feels like a European market, and it's just so much fun. But also today, today is Monday, the province said that indoor dining can start happening again, which is so exciting for all of our staff. It's been 4 months now, and everyone's just chomping at the bit to get back. So I'm going to throw the green beans in, by the way, into a pan, and we're just going to saute that with a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper. And about halfway through, so after about, well, I probably put them in a little early. I should have waited till the pan got a little warmer. Then we're going to throw the kale in near the end, and then this beautiful vinaigrette over top. So indoor dining. So of course they don't give us lots of notice, so we're going to try to scramble around and get more of our staff back to work. And we're hoping to reopen on Friday night inside at both Play and Gezellig. With Beckta, we've been focused on this curated program, so we're gonna be open for next Wednesday, indoor dining. The cool part about Beckta is that we already had all of these amazing small little cozy rooms. So in terms of the spacing between tables, it's never been an issue anyway. But if you're interested in doing a little private dining room for you and your family, we got one for 6, we've got one for 8, we've got one for 10. Of course, you can come in as just a group of 2 or 4 for a special occasion. It's going to be fun. We're allowed to have 50 people in each of our restaurants. Now, Beckton normally seats about 140 people, so it's really spaced out. Where Play is about 130 and Gezellig is about 100. So there's lots of space to go around. So don't worry that you're going to be chock-a-block right beside your neighbors. So we take this stuff very seriously. We've got a lot of protocols in place. We have a sanitation manager at each of our restaurants, which is kind of funny. I never thought I'd hire a sanitation manager, but each service we have someone designated just to be in charge of sanitation. So cleaning the washrooms in between every guest visit, just making sure that everything is just rocking according to plan and going above and beyond all the provincial designations that they do. I love this wine. It's going to be great with the pantanal salad. But I want to talk about the red because this is actually one of my favorite wines of all time. Yves Couleron. It's a Southern Rhone, 100% Syrah, and I just love it. By the way, the duck is finishing. This is good. So I'm going to put the fondant potatoes in the oven for just a couple minutes to keep working through. Okay, our green beans are there. I'm going to throw the kale in, a little more olive oil. And this is where you put on the salt and pepper. So Yves Couleron, third generation winemaker from the Côte de Rhône. I'm going to turn the hood fan off now that we're not creating too much smoke. And they make some of the most sought after red wines in the Rhone. Their Côte is out of this world, but really expensive as well. This is their more or less entry level wine, which is equivalent to one of the great Rhones out there, normal wine. I just love it. And with duck, it's got this gorgeous gamey quality to it that I'm very drawn to. I don't know. I hope you love it as much as I do. Honestly, during COVID and we got to finally buy wine from the restaurants, so I was buying wine for home through the restaurants. And this was always one that I would go to because it just brings me such joy. Okay, so these guys are almost done. I'm just going to turn the heat off. And then we're going to go back to our fondant potatoes. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cut the duck first. Try to time this out well. There are 2 duck breasts there. So what I like to do is skin side down, and you want to cut this as thinly as possible. By doing that, you make it much more tender than if you had a big chunk. This looks like it's been beautifully rested because there's no blood running all over the cutting board. And although we have seasoned it already, you always need some finishing salt to just bring out the flavor, and it gives you a nice crunch to it. So fleur de sel, at Farm Boy, it's like $6 for this big container of fleur de sel. I'm a huge fan, where at Loblaws, it's like $15 for the same stuff. So big thing on Farm Boy. So I'm just gonna put this on the side for a minute. Get a trivet so we don't mess up our cutting board. I think for the first time, I'm starting to get comfortable with this whole like TV chef thing. All right, this makes me so happy. So the fondant potatoes that are finished in duck fat, I'll do 3 per plate. They're pretty decadent. Okay. And now we've got our greens. So some of the crispy green beans, some of the luscious kale. Oh, ah ha ha ha. I missed a step. Look at me jumping ahead. I forgot about the vinaigrette. So we're going to put them back in here. So vinaigrette goes in there. And because the pan and the veg is warm, it really just needs a little toss around. Oh, it smells great. Of course, I'm always like conscious of, plating it beautifully so that we can take pictures and we can sell more of our meal kits this week. So if I fuss around a little more, please forgive me. The presentation is really important. I feel like during COVID, I've been more conscious about it just at home. Okay, I'll wipe down the plate really nice. Gorgeous. And our duck breast is going to go right over top. So before you put the chermoula on, which I believe is a Indian sauce, but you know what? I actually didn't do my research on this week. I need to do better on that next week. Promise I'll do a little more research. I was a little thrown today with Doug Ford's announcement that we'll get to reopen restaurants after 4 months. So a little crunchy salt on top. And then we've got this chermoula. That's going to go right on the duck. Oh, smells awesome. All that fresh herb, deliciousness. It's so funny. When you do 2 plates, you always think, okay, this one's definitely going to be the picture shot. And oftentimes you get it wrong. So here is our picture shot of our beautiful seared duck breast with chermoula, green beans, kale, and those gorgeously rich fondant potatoes. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for the support. I hope to see you at one of the restaurants real soon. And please keep ordering this stuff as well because we love cooking for you at home and we want to keep doing it for a long time. Thanks very much.